The festival of Sukkot. It is fascinating that the festival of Sukkot is truly a hybrid holiday. And let me explain. The book of Leviticus, chapter 23, the parasha of Emor, is the parasha of the festivals. And all of the festivals are listed from really the very beginning of Pesach, the first month, the first festival. And then the listing continues with verse 33. God says to Moses, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel on the 15th day of the 7th month, the festival of Sukkot, 7 days unto the Lord. The first day is a holy day of convocation and no physical creativity, no work. There is also the final day, the 7th day, the 8th day, and also it's a day of no work, and it's Shmini Atzeret listed, and the sacrifice is listed. And then a concluding verse that seems to be concluding all of the festivals. Because if you begin with Pesach, the last of the festivals are Sukkot and Shmini Atzeret. Verse 37, Eile Moadei Hashem, these are the festivals of the Lord. You are to call them holy convocations and to give offerings to the Almighty. And then, verse 39 seems to start all over again with Sukkot. However, on the 15th day of the 7th month, when you gather in your grain, that wasn't mentioned for the first mention of Sukkot. When you gather in your grain, you shall celebrate a festival unto the Lord for 7 days. The first day and the 8th day being a Sabbath of Sabbaths, a Shabbaton. And you shall take the 4 species, the citron, the date branch, the myrtle, and the willow. And you shall rejoice for 7 days with these 4 species. And, verse 42, you shall dwell in Sukkot for 7 days. Everyone who is living in Israel, even if he is a non-Jew, that's a very important thing, Ezrach. Because if you remember that on Pesach, it was only the circumcised, not the non-Jews. And here there is also a very interesting addition. In order that your generations shall know and understand that I, God, enabled you to dwell in Sukkot, the children of Israel to dwell in Sukkot, when I took them out of the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. What's the second mention of Sukkot? Why is it repeated in the way that it's repeated? Because then, after this, is a second ending. Verse 44. And Moses declared the festivals of the Lord to the children of Israel. So all the holidays, Sukkot without the 4 species, a concluding verse, repetition of Sukkot. This time, of course, when you gather in your grain, the importance of the 4 species, and the added thing, God, I enabled you to dwell in Sukkot. What does it mean? Let me say very quickly what it means. There are 2 aspects to Sukkot. There are 2 periods in the Jewish year. The first period of the Jewish year, the spring festivals, are national festivals, beginning with Pesach, the national festival, our birthday as a nation. The month of Nisan, the first of Nisan, when we emerged from our servitude in Egypt and we became a nation. The third month, we received the Torah. Not only were we a free nation, but we now have a constitution, moral and ethical and ritual laws by which to live our lives. These Pesach Shavuot, with the counting of the Omer in between, these are national festivals. Then comes the seventh month, the month of Tishrei. And the month of Tishrei is the month of the creation of the world. And that's Rosh Hashanah, with God being enthroned as King of the world. Yom Kippur, with the drama of the Holy Temple ritual. And my house shall be a house of prayer for all nations, again, very universal. And then, after Yom Kippur, Sukkot. And then another Sukkot. Now, on the one hand, Sukkot belongs to the trilogy of Pesach, Shavuot, Sukkot. There are three festivals when we're supposed to appear before God and be seen by God. There are three festivals that deal with historical experiences of the Jewish people. Pesach, our freedom. Shavuot, the giving of the revelation at Sinai. Sukkot, we were protected in the desert. We were protected in the desert even though we lived in flimsy huts in an alien climate which is hot by day and sometimes freezing by night. And although we put up flimsy huts, we managed to survive. And that's the Sukkah as a symbol of Jewish exile. But then there's the Sukkot that belongs to Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, the universal aspect. And after all, it comes out in the fall. That's the Sukkah of not the flimsy huts that the Jews made, but the Sukkah with which God protected the Jews. That was the Sukkah that covered the encampment of Israel, the cloud of glory that expressed the God of the sanctuary who would be dwelling within Israel. That's the Sukkah of redemption, the holy temple that we make reference to in the grace after meals. And that's together with the four species. Because as we wave the four species in all six directions, we sing the Psalms of praise. And in the book of Chronicles has a magnificent verse which teaches that at the end of the days, when the messianic period of redemption will draw nigh, Oz Yoradanu Kol Atzeyar, all the trees of the forest will dance and sing exultantly before God. We're making all of nature, universal nature, dance exultantly and sing before God when we wave these four species and we sing the Hallel. So there's the Sukkah of the three festivals, and that's the Sukkah that we built. And there's the Sukkah of Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot, which is the universal Sukkah. The Sukkah of David, which was fallen but will be restored, which will be a house for all nations, will symbolize redemption and teach redemption, where nations will not lift up sword against nation, and humankind will not learn war anymore. That's the second dimension.